Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, Text 7. Katham va Pandave yasya Rajarshir Munina Saha Samvada Samabhutata Yatraisha Satvati Shruti Katham va Pandave yasya Rajarshir Munina Saha Samvada Samabhutata Yatraisha Satvati Shruti Katham va Pandave yasya Rajarshir Munina Saha Samvada Samabhutata Yatraisha Satvati Shruti. Okay, Prabhu.
Katham va Pandave yasya Rajarshir Munina Saha Samvada Samabhutata Yatraisha Satvati Shruti
Katham va Pandave yasya Rajarshir Munina Saha Samvada Samabhutata Yatraisha Satvati Shruti
Katham. How is it? Va. Also. Pandaveyasya. Of the descendant of Pandu Parikshit. Rajarshi. Of the king who was a sage. Munina. With the Muni. Saha. With. Samvada. Discussion. Samabhut. Took place. Tata. Oh darling. Yatra. Whereupon. Esha. Like this. Satvati. Transcendental. Shruti. Essence of the Vedas. Translation. How did it so happen that the king Parikshit met this great sage, making it possible for this great transcendental essence of the Vedas, Bhagavatam, to be sung to him? How did it so happen that King Parikshit met this great sage, making it possible for this great transcendental essence of the Vedas, Bhagavatam, to be sung to him? Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam is stated here as the essence of the Vedas. It is not an imaginary story as it is sometimes considered by unauthorized men. It is also called Shuka Samhita, or the Vedic hymn spoken by Sri Shukadeva Goswami, the great liberated sage. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, Srila Prabhupada is stating in the purport that Srimad Bhagavatam is stated here as the essence of the Vedas, and it is also called Shuka Samhita. That's the point here. So I just thought we'll do a very short recap, and I'll briefly state what I thought about when I read this purport and the essence of what we want to discuss today. So the chapter, it is entitled that it is the appearance of Narada Muni. So in the beginning, Shunaka Rishi, he is the leader of the assembly of great sages. Shunaka Rishi, who is an elderly person, who is the leader of the assembly of sages, is actually glorifying Suta Goswami, who is the speaker. So Shunaka was described in the beginning as an elderly person. He was a Vriddha, and he was the head of the assembly. It was called Kulapati, and he was described as learned. So he was elderly, he was head of the assembly, he was also a learned person. So this elderly person, who is very knowledgeable, is congratulating Suta Goswami, who is the younger person who is speaking. And so the qualification of the leader of the assembly, we have to pay attention to that. And in a meeting of learned people, how does this leader conduct himself? It's a meeting of the elderly, very great learned sages, and this elderly person is addressing the younger person who is the speaker, and he begins to congratulate the speaker. This is an example for us. It's not like because he was elderly, he was learned, he was, well recognized by all the sages, and he was not puffed up. He is congratulating the speaker and glorifying the speaker. And so Shunaka said to Suta Goswami, he said, "You are the most fortunate Mahabhaga and the best of the speaker. Vadakambara, please narrate the pious message of Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by Shuka." He is asking. So then comes the question about the history of Srimad Bhagavatam. In which yuga it was spoken, in what place it was spoken, for what reason it was spoken, and by whose inspiration did Suta Goswami, Vyasadeva, by whose inspiration Vyasadeva compiles Srimad Bhagavatam. So these were the questions that were raised. And then there is the question about Shukadeva Goswami himself. So there is the glorification of Shukadeva Goswami, the speaker. And he is described as Mahayogi. What is it? He is a great devotee. And Samadrik Nirvikalpaka. Samadrik Nirvikalpaka, which means he was an equibalanced monist. And it is also stated Shukadeva Goswami was Ekantamana. Ekantamana means whose mind was always concentrated. Ekantamana, his mind was fully concentrated. And later it comes in a very interesting way that he was also said that he is Unnidra. Unnidra means he was transcendental to mundane activities. He was transcendental to mundane activities. When we compare like Suta Goswami, Shukadeva Goswami to what we are. We are so much engrossed in mundane activities. Not only that, it is said here, Gudho Mudha Ivayate, being unexposed, he appeared ignorant. Which really makes you think we are so exposed to all unwanted things, and our mind is so cluttered and so congested with the thoughts relating to this mundane material existence that we appear to be the so-called intelligent people, right? We are always engaged in analytical thinking, trying to understand. And I remember in one of the classes Maharaj gave some question, and Maharaj was responding that you have to be patient in transcendental matters. How do you get the realization? You persistently you practice, you seek the mercy of the Lord, and you patiently wait for that mercy to manifest. Here we have absolutely no patience, and we want like the snap of a finger. We want the result, and we think that we are intelligent. And here, on the contrary, how is it to describe it? Shukadeva Goswami is unnidra. He was transcendental to mundane activities. He was gudo mudha ivayate. Being unexposed. He was apparently, externally, he appeared to be ignorant. And we are internally we are ignorant, and we still act like we are very intelligent, and we have to be this analytical brain, we have to really understand everything. One thing with Srimad Bhagavatam is with analytical brain, we are never going to understand anything at all. And even the greatest scholars who have studied Srimad Bhagavatam, devotees, I'm not talking about scholars, devotees themselves, the more they study Srimad Bhagavatam, the more humble they become, and they feel like we don't understand anything. Our job here is simply glorify Srimad Bhagavatam and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Job here is not scholarship. With the attitude of scholarship, we will never understand anything at all in Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is why I was even when we have difficulties here, like having attendance and hearing, or we don't have, I didn't expect anybody here. I was definitely going to speak to the empty space. Seriously. But it doesn't matter, because it is for my benefit. I will be thinking and speaking, and definitely, because you are speaking here in front of Radha Madhava, like what Sandhya does here all the time, definitely, there's benefit. But we wouldn't know what that benefit is. So then after glorifying Shukadeva Goswami, then there is the verse which describes how the citizens of Hastinapur recognized. Citizens were simply, because Shukadeva Goswami was looking externally like a ignorant person, they were just simply thinking that he was a retarded person and just simply following him. Children were making noise and following, but he was completely unaware of what is happening around him, because his mind is completely fixed on the Supreme Lord. And then comes today's words. How did the meeting and the conversation of Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadeva Goswami, how did it take place? Through which this essence of the Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, Shuka Samhita, how did it appear? So that's what Prabhupada is writing. This is the transcendental essence of the Vedas, and it is Shuka Samhita. And two words that is noteworthy here, it is described here, it is Satvati, transcendental, and Shrutihi, essence of the Vedas. So it is transcendental literature, essence of the Vedas. How did this appear? So my focus today is to speak about Srimad Bhagavatam. So, which is the essence of the Vedas. Now, we know the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. There is so many glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is the essence of the Vedas. And in this context, I was as I just read that short purport, I was thinking that there is so much that can be said about Srimad Bhagavatam. So then, when I was preparing for this class, I just felt, it is about relishing of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is all about relishing of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is about glorifying of Bhagavatam. And it is in what context it was spoken. And what is Bhagavatam's relationship with Krishna? So I thought we'll just do that, and thereby, that was the thought. And then as I was reading, so many verses came, and so I thought we will mutually benefit by discussing these. So there is this amazing, there is not just this verse, there are a million amazing verses, but if you can please chant after me, this would be very, very nice. This is in the 11th canto, 3rd chapter, verse. Parasparanukathanam Pavanam Bhagavadyashaha Mitoratir mitastushtir Nivrittir mita atmanaha Parasparanukathanam Pavanam Bhagavadyashaha Mitoratir mitastushtir Nivrittir mita atmanaha Parasparanukathanam Pavanam Bhagavadyashaha Mitoratir mitastushtir Nivrittir mita atmanaha. So the translation is, one should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. The process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And thus, by encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. So, the beauty here is, yasha. What is it said? Bhagavad Yashaha. Yasha means glories. The glories of the Lord. That is what the devotees should do. Mita is mutual. It said mita retir, mita tushtir, nivritir, mita atmanaha. It is a mutual process. Mita retir, mita tushtir, nivritir, mita atmanaha. So when the devotees are sitting together, parasparanukathanam, that is what takes place. What is the verse in Bhagavad Gita? The one which when devotees kathayantasya mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Teshams, what is that other one? Satadayutta, bhajatam priti. So in any case, that is the same point here, right? What is said in Bhagavad Gita. But here it is still more, made it more clear. Mitoratir mitatushtir. Mitoratir mitatushtir, and nivritir mita atmana. And glorifying the Lord, yashas of the Lord, mutually, rati develops. Rati is loving attraction, it develops. And tushti, satisfaction comes. Nivritti, which is cessation of the material miseries, takes place. Everything is accomplished. All that is done is parasparanukathanam. So we don't need to be scholars at all. So that was my feeling when I was preparing for this class. So we don't need to be scholar. All we are doing is taking what is there in Bhagavatam and reading and relishing. So then when I saw this verse and I started reading, and then I came across other verses, and that's how the topic developed. And so the relishing, that was the only thing I had in my mind. So not scholarship, it is just relishing. And so basically what it is the Vaishnava, the loving Vaishnava dealings with Krishna Katha in the center. So, many times people say, association, I need your association, whatever. But without Krishna Katha, what is the association? You may be with somebody, but it is not association. Krishna Katha in the center. So, there is a saying like a poor stray dog. Stray dogs are mostly seen in India. We don't see that here. But a stray dog may go from door to door begging for a little piece of some food. Basically, it is looking for food. So, some house somebody may give a piece of chapati or something. But some place somebody will beat him. That's what he gets. It's not like every place he goes he gets food. This is exactly the condition of the living entities also. What is happening with us is like we are going from one body to another, one species to another, one planetary system to another. So we don't know what we are experiencing and what we will experience. Just like this stray dog, some places it gets beaten up, some places it may get a little piece of food. This is the condition of the miserable poor living entity. All of us are in that position. And but the real satisfaction, the dog gets a piece of food, a little piece of food. But what is the real satisfaction for the living entity? That is the tushti. Mithorati mithas tushti. And nivrittir mitha atmanaha. Right? That is the tushti we are talking about. We are also like the stray dog, going from lifetime to lifetime. But the tushti is something else. So, and Bhagavatam, we know the common verses, Savaikum Sham Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radokshaje, Ahaituki Apratihata Eyatma Suprasidari. So, what is the Paro Dharma of the living entity is that which one can attain unmotivated and uninterrupted service, loving devotional service to the Lord. Unmotivated and uninterrupted service. That completely satisfies the soul. Mitoradir, mitastushtir, nivrittir, mita atmanaha. That completely satisfies the soul. That is the purpose. So complete satisfaction of the soul comes when this Shravanam Kirtanam happens with Krishna in the center, in the association of the devotees. Otherwise, nothing happens. So, coming back to Krishna. Krishna made his wonderful enchanting appearance in this material realm 5,000 years ago, approximately. And in comes as present house. And as soon as he appeared, he revealed his four-handed form. And then he requested Vasudeva, please take me to Nanda Maharaj's house. And Vasudeva takes him over there, and Krishna starts killing the demons. Udana, Shakadasura, Bakasura, Akasura, Kaliya, chastising Kaliya. All these pastimes Krishna performs. Eventually Krishna kills Kamsa, and then he becomes the king. He becomes the chariot driver of Arjuna. Speaks Bhagavad Gita. Later Krishna speaks even Uddhava Gita. And in course of time, we hear that in Bhagavatam that the hunter Jara shoots an arrow and Krishna leaves this material realm. Now, for a foolish person, there are so many misinterpretations about Krishna's departure from this material realm. Same is said about Rama also. that Lord Ram entered into Sarayu river, committed suicide. What is that? Like Krishna got killed by Hunter Jara's arrow. Krishna was poisoned by Putana with the deadliest poison. Krishna was in the coils of the snake Kaliya, dancing. The snake was biting Krishna. Did anything happen to Krishna? And all the leelas that are described in Srimad Bhagavatam, all of that we are hearing Krishna's pastime. Each one of those pastimes, it is like a deadly demon trying to kill Krishna. But you do not see anything happening to Krishna. And then when Krishna was from the earthly standards 125 years old, and a simple hunter shoots an arrow and Krishna leaves his body. How is it possible? It is not at all, not like the way mundane scholars interpret that. This is why we need Bhagavatam and the interpretation of Bhagavatam by our own Vaishnava Acharyas. They have an insight into this. So Krishna, according to Bhagavatam, when Krishna disappeared, in Srimad Bhagavatam verse 1.3, the third chapter, we studied this on verse number 43. We have covered that Krishna Swa Dhamopakade verse. Krishna Swa Dhamopakade Dharma Jnana Divisaha Kalau Nasta Drishamesha Puranarko Tudunite. So the Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant light as the sun. How did this sun emerged? When dispelling the darkness of Kali Yuga, when Krishna left the planet. And so Krishna said disappearance pastime and Bhagavatam's appearance. There is a purpose behind that. So when Krishna left and Bhagavatam appears, so this Bhagavatam, which is known as Grantharaj, the king of all the books, it is like a transcendental torchlight which is shedding light on the misguided population of Kali Yuga. So this is not just some ordinary event that Krishna left and then Bhagavatam appeared just somehow. This is not. Anyway, today's whole topic was, this is the essence of the transcendental literature. This is Krishna himself who is appearing in the form of book for a specific purpose, giving us material to discuss. Vidorati, tushtir, parasparanukadana. When Krishna is not physically visible for us, we have Bhagavatam, which is Krishna himself, to discuss about him, to get out of this miserable existence. So, the Lord has taken many incarnations. That also we discussed in the third chapter. Matsya Kurma Varaha Narsimha Vamana, Parashuram, Sriram. So many incarnations. And Bhagavatam also is a literary incarnation. However, Bhagavatam is distinctly different. Because why? All the incarnations of the Lord is there within Bhagavatam. So, the description of all the incarnations, that all the incarnations are within Bhagavatam. So that Bhagavata Purana is distinctly, different. It is the essence of everything. And that is available to us so that we can enliven each other. So, this material world, which is such a beautiful place, and we have so much scenic beauty, and we always, after we get tired of doing all the variety entertainments, whatever shopping and whatever else we do, on a day-to-day basis, and then we need this vacation, and we need to go to some place. Many times I feel like going to a place. No, it is not helping at all, because the monkey of whatever else you need to do is follows you wherever you go. You may go, but anyway, this beautiful material earthly planet with the blue skies and the lakes and the waters and this is what you see everywhere you go. The mountains and everything. It is there, and so we go to these places and we don't enjoy this thing by ourselves, right? Usually we have our family and friends, which is so real for us. And there is no enjoyment in any vacation unless you have someone you really care about. Absolutely not, right? You go yourself. What vacation is that, right? And our relationships are so real for us that we are going to see our family and our friends, or take our children, and we are going, and in their association we are having some interactions, and we are enjoying and relishing every part of this material creation. And but we are completely forgetting the fact that this is really a reflection of that which is real in the spiritual world. There is a real relationship in the spiritual realm. Krishna is having that same type of exchanges with devotees, with his friends, with his family, with his mother, with his father, with his friends, with the gopis, not only in the Goloka realm, but in Paravyoma, in Vaikuntha planet also. So what does that look like? Actually, that is the real relationships that we have. But when we are enjoying our family, friends, vacation here, we are not thinking about that. Krishna is having that over there. And in spite of that, my today's point is, he is having all of that relationships over there with the eternally liberated souls who are existing as in different relationships with him. And yet he comes here to reclaim us, the poor conditioned souls. So 3/4 of Tripada Vibhuti is there in the spiritual realm. So what is really happening there? So I just picked up a few for our discussion. One is Brahma's prayers to Lord Krishna. Lord Brahma's prayer. He is glorifying the fortune of Nanda Maharaj. And what does he say? Aho bhagyam Nanda gopa vrajaukasham yen mitram paramanandam purna brahma sanatanam. Aho bhagyam. How greatly fortunate is Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men and all other inhabitants of Brajabhumi. See, compare that to the good fortune that we have, the relishing that we have when we go for vacation. But Brahma, our creator, he is glorifying Aho bhagyam Nanda gopa vrajaukasham yen mitram paramanandam purnam brahma sanatanam. The cowherd men and all the other inhabitants of Brajabhumi is enjoying this company of Krishna. What a great good fortune that they have. Because the absolute truth, the source of the transcendental bliss, the eternal supreme Brahman has become their friend. This is the good fortune. And so Krishna is completely forgetting his position as Godhead. He is simply being friendly with these devotees. And then there is the verse, the other I think I gave a class here on Mother Yashoda's good fortune. That's again coming in 10th canto. Trayachopanishad sadbhischa sankhya yogaischa sattvatai upagiyamana mahatmyam. This is very famous. Upagiyamana mahatmyam Harim Samanyadatmajam Upagiyamana Mahatmyam Harim Samanyat Atmajam. Upagiyamana Mahatmyam, and Hari is considered simply as my ordinary son. And the translation is the glories of Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is studied through the three Vedas, the Upanishads, the literature of Sankhya Yoga and other Vaishnava literature, and yet Upagiyamana Mahatmyam Harim Samanya Tatmajam. What does that mean? Mother Yashoda yet considered Krishna as an ordinary child, and the Lord is nothing but a child. And this is the intimate relationship that you see Krishna enjoying his relationship in the spiritual world. So there is like a ton of other verses regarding gopis. I didn't even want to go there, but I picked one small section of a verse which is describing friendship with the cowherd boys. So this comes again 10th canto, but there is a series of verses 7 through 11. But at the end of that 7 through 11, it is stated that Ittam sadam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam paradaivatena mayashritanam narada Sakham Vijaru Krita Punya Punja. And that comes after this whole description. And I love the description of Krishna's friends, how they play with Krishna. And this is how the translation is. All the boys would be differently engaged. Some boys blew their flutes. The others blew their bugles made of horn. Some imitated the voice of cuckoo. Some boys imitated flying birds by running on the shadow. The birds are flying above, the shadow of the birds is down, and the boys are running, following the shadow, imitating like the birds in the sky. I mean, just picture that. They're like completely absorbed in this play. And some imitated the beautiful movements and attractive postures of the swans. Some sat down with the ducks, sitting silently, and others imitated the dancing of the peacocks. And some boys attracted young monkeys in the trees, and some jumped on the trees and imitating the monkeys. Some are attracting the monkeys, some are jumping on the trees imitating the monkeys. And some made faces, like the monkeys were accustomed to do, and others jumped from one branch to another. Some boys went to the waterfalls and crossed over the river, jumping with the frogs, and then they saw their own reflections in the water, and then looking at it they will laugh. And they would also condemn the sounds of their own echoes. They make echoes and they are playing with that. In this way, all the cowherd boys used to play with Krishna, who is the source of the Brahman effulgence. For nannies, Krishna is the source of the Brahman effulgence. And look what the boys are doing. They are playing like monkeys and frogs and birds and peacocks and ducks. For the nannies, he is the source of the Brahman effulgence. Desiring these nannies, they want to merge into that. That's what they want to do. Who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the devotees who have accepted that eternal survivorship and who are ordinary persons, but for that devotees, that this Krishna is an ordinary child. For his friends, he is an ordinary friend. For his mother, it is only my son. For Nanda Maharaj, he is not Supreme Brahman. And so they were able to associate in this way with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How can one explain their great good fortune? So there are like this millions of verses out there. Now, in Paravyoma, this is interesting to understand. In Vaikuntha planet, there is still the same type of relationship is happening. And there is one verse in third canto, it says, Yatsankulam haripadanti matra drishtai Vaidurya marakada hemamair vimanai Yesham brihat kaditadasmita shobhimukya Krishnatmanam naraja adhadur udmayadhyai. The inhabitants of the Vaikuntha travel in their aeroplanes made with lapis lazuli, emerald and gold. So in the material world, we may buy a piece of emerald and gold to make a little ring or an earring or something, a tiny little thing. This whole aeroplane is made with lapis lazuli and emeralds and gold. It's not one tiny little piece of ornament here. This plane is made of that, and although crowded by their consorts, they're like pairs, husbands and wives, they are traveling. These ladies, they have very large hips and beautiful smiling faces, and they cannot be stimulated to passion by their mirth and beautiful charms. So it is Prabhupada writes like in the material world, a woman with a large hip is an attraction for a man. They can be stimulated by just looking at the women within Prabhupada writes. So it is stated that there is enjoyment in the association of opposite sex, even there in the Paravyoma. But there is no sexual relationship. So these ladies are extremely beautiful to look at, and their husbands are with them. So they have a better standard of pleasure. The husbands don't get attracted sexually to these ladies. And so the planes are flying without any pilots. The planes are made with lapis lazuli and the emeralds and rubies and all those. These most exquisitely beautiful women are there. They could enjoy, but nobody is attracted sexually. Why? Because they are absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. This is the relationship. So in the spiritual world, there is this Vrindavan, Madhura, Dwaraka, all of that is there in the Golokaranam. And then there is this Paravyoma, the sky where all the Vaikuntha planets are there. And in every one of these, there is a relationship that is going on between Krishna and all of them. And so, from this position, which is like a 3/4 of Lord's creation, the Lord is enjoying, then why would He come here? And of course we hear from our scriptures that to reclaim the conditioned souls, this material realm is created. And in 4th canto, Rudra Gita purport, Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice example where he says that it is just like the example of a mother who is cooking and busy cooking and preparing food, calling the child for come and eat, and the child will not pay any attention. He says, no, I don't want any food, I want to cook for myself. And mother gives a artificial stove, a plastic. I was visiting Shyamasaki, I saw she had a little stove and even plastic. I was thinking Prabhupada right, so absolutely right. She has even cut vegetables which are all plastic. And in a couple of hours it seems she cooks all the time, the braja. And so this is what Prabhupada writes in the purport, that the mother gives some artificial cutting board and plastic knife and plastic thing, and the child puts it on the stove and putting chonk and all that. And she's imagining in the mind the noise is there, the smell is there and doing. And the mother is patiently waiting for the child to come back. And the child plays for a couple of hours and afterwards get tired and hungry because she cannot eat that. It's not food. So then the child comes back and the mother is eagerly waiting for the child to feed and feeds the child affectionately. Similarly, Krishna is waiting for us to come back. And then, and when we come back, he is eager to receive us. That meeting is very, very relishable. So the process of bhakti is that which brings back the conditioned souls to Krishna, and that is the process of bhakti which is described in the whole of Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is the Krishna's interactions with the liberated souls and Krishna's interactions with the conditioned souls and the whole process of bhakti, how to come back. Everything is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. And then the question is like, why can't God just take us back? He could have easily taken us back. But then again, there is this free will of the living entity. He wants us to come back on our own. But even if you look at it, even magicians or even people who are hypnotists, they can condition yourself. If they can control your mind and program you, the Lord can also do that. He's the greatest magician. But He's not doing it purposefully, because He wants you to do this on your own. And so that brings us to the point of this glory of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the guiding light. And it is said that anarthopasamanam sakshat bhakti yoga madokshage logasya janado vidvams chakra what is that? Chakre sarvatada samhita. And so this Vyasadeva, he compiled this Vedic literature in relation to the absolute truth for this particular purpose. And so there is this another beautiful verse in the 12th canto which states this. It says, Tadeva ramyam ruchiram navam navam Tadeva sashvan manaso mahotsavam Tadeva shokarnava shoshanandrinam Taduttama sloka yashonukiyate. Isn't that beauty? It's like a beauty. Tadeva ramyam ruchiram navam navam Tadeva sashvan manaso mahotsavam Tadeva shokarnava shoshanandrinam Yaduttama sloka yashonukiyate. Those words describing the glories of all famous personality of Godhead are attractive, relishable, and ever fresh. Indeed, such words are a perpetual festival for the mind, and they dry up the ocean of the misery. And so, why should we study the scripture? And what happens if you do not study the scripture? So, Shukadeva Goswami speaks about this in the 10th canto. It is 12:50. Yeah. And so then Shukadeva Goswami speaks in 10th canto this example of the pathway in the rainy season. The overgrowth happens, and if people continuously pass through there is a passageway. But if you don't walk through there, the bushes grow, and you are afraid to walk through there again. And you are afraid there is snakes and scorpions and all that there. Similarly, if we don't study the scriptures, generations will be afraid to go near that scripture. And then there will be poisonous snakes and scorpions, which are the wrong interpretation of the Vedic scriptures, will come. And you read that in the Google search and all that, and that will destroy your whole process of bhakti. And actually, another analogy is given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur about a treasure in a room, and there is a guardian to guard that treasure. And the Vedic scriptures are treasure, and our Vaishnava saints, their interpretation of the Vedic scriptures are the treasure. And if you don't study, that not studying is considered as the watchman falling asleep. And if you do that, what happens? And then you are, the treasure is lost. The treasure is such a treasure that it nourishes your heart, and that treasure is gone. And then it is like watchman falling asleep. this is where the point we talked in the beginning, like people interpreting Krishna being shot by an hunter by an arrow, or Rama jumping in, Lord Ram jumping in Sarayu river, and all these things are interpreted in the wrong way. So Shukadeva Goswami's explanation in Srimad Bhagavatam and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's analogies, they are all pointing to this fact. By not parasparanukathanam, if we don't do this, that's what will happen. And so I'll conclude this with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's this 5-point verse, which I'm sure all of you know. Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajeshatanayastadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kajit Upasana Brajavadhu Vargena Ya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Madamidam Tatra Darona Pratipraha Para. So, the conclusion of Lord Chaitanya is that the most worshipable Aradhyo Bhagavan is Brajesha Tanaya. It is not the Krishna who is in Dwaraka with many wives and opulence. It is Brajesha Tanaya, Krishna in Vrindavan. And the topmost worshipable abode is Tadhama Vrindavanam. And the highest and most pleasing type of worship of Krishna is done by the gopis, right? And it is done by the gopis, and Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam, which is the spotless literature. And what does it do? Krishna Prema, which is the highest fifth goal of life. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha is beyond that is Prema of Krishna. And so this is the opinion of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Brajesha Tanaya. So Vasudeva, the four-handed form of Krishna in Dwaraka, it is described, this is actually Gaur Govinda Maharaj speaks about this. He is Purna, and Krishna in Madhura is described as Purnatara, and Krishna in Braja is Purnamatha. And so there is positive, more positive, superlative degree, Purna, Purnamada, Purnatara and Purnamada. There is different degrees of positivity, comparative degree, superlative degree. So, Brajesha Tanaya, he is the complete form of Krishna. That boy who is interacting with his friends and with his family, with Mother Yashoda, with Nanda Maharaj. That relationship which we went through, discussed from Srimad Bhagavatam, and compare that to the relationships that we have in this material world and that which we are trying to enjoy. And so, that Krishna is very special, and that is the Kishora Krishna. It is not Dwarakadish with four-handed form. 12-year-old Krishna, and he is having the form of a cowherd boy, and he is described as Natavara. He is the most expert dancer. And that Krishna is our worshipable deity, and this is the recommendation by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So all we need to do is just read and enjoy. We don't need to be scholars. We don't need to prove anything to anybody that we know this whole Srimad Bhagavatam. We don't know nothing. We do not understand anything at all. If we can simply relish the beauty that is already there, given to you when Krishna left, Parasparanukathanam. Just enjoy. It is not so difficult to enjoy it. I think it is very enjoyable. But this is the beauty. It's Parasparanukathanam. There is this mutually enlivening each other. That is the point here. You can enjoy yourself too. We enjoy ourselves when we are doing, but it is said that enlivenment takes place. And if we do not do that, it will be stolen, like the way it is described by Shukadeva Goswami and also Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, talking about the treasure which nourishes our heart will be taken away. That's all I have. Thank you so very much. Hare Krishna. Went above and beyond the call of duty. Thank you.